Zeal Education Society, redefining excellence.
Dear students, in previous lecture, we have already discussed the basic concept related to software project management, in which we have discussed what is project, what are the components of project, also what are different personnel that are involved in software project management and software project development lifecycle. These parts we have already covered in previous lectures. So today we will see the next part, which is related to work breakdown structure for any project. As we know that project is a component, project is made up from n number of different components. So to solve that particular component, to solve that particular issue, you have to identify what are sub-modules, what are sub-components for that particular project. And that project we are dividing into small units or number of modules. And to do that, what different activities we perform, that activities are nothing but work breakdown structure. So we'll see what is definition of work breakdown structure, what are different types of work breakdown structure that you can use while normalizing, or you can say while structuring different components of project in detail. So first we'll see what is work breakdown structure. In generally, we know that work breakdown structure is the procedure or process of dividing a single project into number of sub modules, which are independent one, which are unique one. For that purpose, how we are bifurcating, how we are dividing this number of components of project in a smaller part, that process is called as WBS or work breakdown structure. So first, work breakdown structure is a process of dividing complex project. As we know that project may be a complex project, project may be a simple project. But for a particular project, there might be more than one components that are involved, more than one activities we need to perform, and to divide those activities in a simpler and manageable task. For that purpose, how we are dividing those activities, to show those activities, we use work breakdown structure concept. Also, it is a method that breaks the project down into a hierarchically deliverable task and subtask. For any project, an end user expects something. The expectation of end user is called as deliverables. So how those deliverables we are achieving? To produce that deliverable, what different tasks you need to perform? What should be the interdependency of those tasks? What should be the hierarchy of that task? To show all those activities, what a structure we are using, that structure is called as work breakdown structure. This work breakdown structure is deliverable oriented. Deliverable oriented is nothing but what contents we are delivering to the end users. On the basis of the sequence, on the basis of the scope, on the basis of the phases, we divide those activities of the project into number of sections. So deliverable oriented and hierarchically decomposition of the work to be executed by the project team. So this work breakdown structure is done by a project team. So in this case, we need to gather the statements or any information from the project along with timeline, cost and the resources. Once we have all those things, on the basis of the scope, on the basis of the deadlines, we have to create different work breakdown structures. Basically, the work breakdown structure is of two types: delivery based work breakdown structure, and second one is a phase based work breakdown structure. So we'll see what is that difference between work structure, that is deliverables and phase based. So first is a deliverable based work breakdown structure. The name itself indicates that deliverable is nothing but a unit, a component, a functionality that we are expecting from the particular project, that is called as deliverable. A deliverable based work breakdown structure clearly demonstrates the relationship between the project deliverables and scope. For any project, we should know what are the expectations. That expectation are nothing but the deliverables. The things which is expected by the end users are called as deliverables. And how much scope you have to give for that particular deliverables. On the basis of that, if you create a structure, then that structure is called as deliverable based work breakdown structure. For this, we will take one simple example, that is construction of a house. So house building is a one project. So for that purpose, we need some time and we have some budget for the particular home building project, construction of house project. Suppose 100% is the total budget for this particular project. So in deliverable based project, what deliverables are expected by that end users? So he might need some internal aspects within that particular house. Means how should be the internal structure, how should be the electrical cablings, how should be the plumbing. So this is the first deliverable on the basis of internal structure, on the basis of foundation, on the basis of external structure. So here, what are the deliverables expected from the particular project? On the basis of that, we have to divide the different activities. In internal activities, might be there are number of sub activities that are enclosed that are comes under the category of internal activity. That may be electrical activity, that may be plumbing activity, that may be some other activities that we are doing in house for the particular construction of house. So in this fashion, the deliverable based work breakdown structure are the work breakdown structure which is derived or which is prepared on the basis of the things which we are delivering to the end user, to the customer. Second type of work breakdown structure is a phase based breakdown structure. So same example we can take here. If you are constructing a house, then to build a particular house, it has number of phases, it has number of steps or number of activities we need to perform. The first activity, you have to prepare a design from architecture. Then you have to get permission from n number of different members, that is n number of different authorities, that is procurement. And for that purpose, we need to purchase some material required for your house. Then you have to do construction. During construction, you have to do inspection of all activities, whether the activities are running as per your expectation or not. And last one, turnover. Means you are closing the particular project. So what different activities that comes under each phase? So if you divide those activities as per the phase, then such type of work breakdown structure is called as phase based work breakdown structure. Now we'll see what are different benefits of creating work breakdown structure. For any software project, if you are not doing properly hierarchy structure of the work breakdown, or a small progress of a small component of that particular project, then the project manager may suffer. Project manager may get company into trouble due to proper management of the particular project. So avoid those things. It is suggested that every project manager should do proper work breakdown structure, so that one can understood whether the project activities are moving as per the schedule or not, whether the activities are in control or not, that one can easily understood. So we'll see what are different benefits of creating work breakdown structure. The first benefit of creating work breakdown structure is that it provides a visual presentation of all parts of the project. So with the help of breakdown structure, we are identifying the important task from the particular project. To complete that particular task, how much budget, how much time efforts, how much human resources were required, everything we represent with the help of work breakdown structure. So with the help of that visual presentation, one can identify what level of progress we have achieved, what time we have spent, what budget we have spent, and on the basis of that, whether the project is running as per schedule or not. So one can identify that. This is the first benefit of having work breakdown structure. The second benefit of having work breakdown structure is that it offers an ongoing view for management and team members into how the entire project is progressing. So all management members, they will take some decisions, some preventive measures, some corrective measures, some adaptive measures, so that the particular project can get completed as per schedule. Also, it defines a specific and measurable outcomes. So in a project, we have identified the task. So whether the particular task is completed or not, what are different factors that influences to not completing a particular task, what different issues identified. So everything one can measure, one can identify with the help of this work breakdown structure. Also, this work breakdown structure breaks the work into manageable chunks. Means When you divide the particular chunk or particular task into small units, one can easily identify for the particular task how many resources will be required, how much time will be required, and how we can achieve the quality of that. So everything can be managed with the help of this small units. So this is also one of the benefit of creating work breakdown structure. Also, the next benefit is that it provides a way to make successful experience repeatable. Means when you create a breakdown structure, we identified what issues, what probabilities are happening in some issues, and how we are resolving those things. So once all things are available, then same application, same experience we can apply for the projects which are equally same, or you can say which are repeatable one, which are same one, where we can apply this same logic. Also, it sets a foundation for estimating cost and allocating human and other resources. With the help of breakdown structure, one can identify which resource is required for what date, for what schedule, for what time that resource will be required. So with the help of this work breakdown structure, one can effectively manage resource management. That may be human resource, that may be material management, that may be time management. So every management activities that one can do effectively and efficiently with the help of work breakdown structure. The next one, it ensures no overlap or no gap responsibility or resources. When you create a work plan structure, we can identify which task should be predecessor, which task will be successor. Means which task get started when the previous task get completed. So that hierarchy, that sequence, one can easily understood with the help of this work breakdown structure. Also, it minimizes the chance of adding items outside the scope of the work. So once you identify the scope of the work, scope of the project, on the basis of that we create the work breakdown structure. So once you identify, once you define the scope of your project, then one can understood the task what he is doing within the scope, within that particular structure or not. So it automatically eliminates the out of scope activities, out of scope work. So these are some basic benefits of creating work breakdown structure. Now, to create work breakdown structure, we should know what should be the component of that work breakdown structure. What should be the work breakdown structure plan components. So we'll see the first component to prepare work breakdown structure is that identification of organization, identification of which organization, department or individual is responsible for each specific work or specific work piece. For a particular project, once you identify a particular task, then you have to identify responsibility of that particular task. Which department, which team, or who is responsible to do this particular activity, that you have to identify first. Means task identification, after identifying the task, you have to identify responsible person who is involving to solve that particular issue, who is involving to help to solve that particular issue, that you have to identify. The second thing is that the scheduled start and end dates. Once you identify the task, then we have to identify the responsibility person, and then you have to identify when you have to start that particular activity and what is the maximum duration within which you have to complete that particular activity. That is start and end dates for the particular activity. Also, for that particular activity, how much resources were required, what resources were required, that you have to identify. On the basis of that, resource management planning activity you have to perform. So next activity we need to take into consideration, that is resource requirement for creating work breakdown structure. Then once you identify the resources, once you identify the responsible persons, once you created the start and end date for the particular project, then also you have to identify what cost is involved to solve that particular issue, to solve that particular task. That is estimation of cost for the particular project is also one of the components you need to take into consideration while creating work breakdown structure. Then contract details, requirements and milestone. What activities we are performing, whether that activity is achieved a standard benchmark or not. To check that, we need to prepare some benchmark standards. For that purpose, we need to collect some requirements. We need to prepare some contract details. So what is expected, how much level, what level of standardization you can achieve. So that also you have to mention in that particular work breakdown structure plan. Next, what protocol for quality control requirements and standards to check, to ensure the quality of the particular product, the quality of the particular task, the quality of particular project. One should know what is the protocol, what is the rules, what is the standard we are using to check the quality. And as per that standard, one should have to build the particular project, one should have to complete the particular task. And for that purpose, some measurements should be there. And that measurements are nothing but some quality control protocols or rules, requirement rules and standards. And last one is the technical information and resources needed to achieve desired result. So to complete that particular task, what technical resources were required? In case of software application, what type of backend is needed? What type of front end is needed? Whether the application is web application or mobile application or desktop application. On the basis of that, one can select appropriate technology. So selection of those technology is also one of the component of work breakdown structure plan. So once you identify the work project component, when you created the work plan, the next activity that is comes into picture, that is how to create work breakdown structure or process to create work breakdown structure. The first step to create work breakdown structure is to gather critical documents. To solve the particular issue, to solve the particular task, one should collect the requirement, one should collect some documents for doing the particular task. The document may contain a project deliverables such as project charter, scope statement and project management plan or subsidiary plan, in which what activities are expected from the particular project, what is the scope of that particular project, what are different plans we have created to resolve that particular issue, to solve that particular expectation of the end users. So all informations we have written in some documents. First of all, to create work breakdown structure, we have to refer all the documents related to the project which are pre-created, we can say. The second activity is that identify key team members. Once you identify the task, once you collected documents related to supporting for the particular task, the second activity you need to take into consideration as a process of creating work breakdown structure is that you have to identify key team members. Team members are nothing but a persons who are responsible to do the particular activity. So for that purpose, you have to identify team members. Because if you are not selecting right person for right job, your project may come into trouble. So that's why the second important activity is that once you identify the task, once you identify the documents supporting to the particular task, then you have to select appropriate team members so that those members can complete the task as per your expectation, as per your schedule, as per your budget. So second activity is identifying a key team members. Then third activity that you have to take into consideration, that is define level 1 elements. Level 1 elements are nothing but a summary of deliverables that must be captured 100% of the project scope, and 100% of scope is captured or not, that we are defining, that we are checking in third level of the work breakdown structure activity. So here, what elements we are expecting to be complete, that list, that summary you have to prepare while creating the work breakdown structure. The next one is a decompose or breakdown elements. That is, when we are continuing breaking down the work until the work converted in each element is managed by a single individual or not, in which what we are doing, we are dividing the task into smaller units in such a way that the smallest part of that particular unit or smallest part of that particular project or task can be easily managed. So in fourth activity, what we are doing, we are decomposing, we are breakdowning the whole components in a small chunk which is easily managed, which is easily processed, which is easily tested. So all those activities we need to perform in fourth phase. Then we need to create work breakdown dictionary. This dictionary is nothing but a It is a narrative description of the work covered in each small unit of the work breakdown structure. It is also called as work packages, and that ensures that 100% of the project scope is covered or not. So within a particular project, what different activities you are going to perform. So for that purpose, what task we have identified, the detailed description of those tasks you have to create, and the description of all tasks that you have summarizing together, that is called as WBS dictionary, work breakdown dictionary, which gives information about what task is expected to complete, what duration is expected, who is responsible, how much budget is allocated. So all information is written in that WBS dictionary. Once you have created a WBS dictionary, once you identify number of units or number of chunks are expected from the particular project, then to show those activities, we need to prepare a Gantt chart. Gantt chart is a chart which shows different activities are involved in a project, their duration, their responsibilities, start time, end time. All those things are represented with the help of Gantt chart. This Gantt chart activity, how to create Gantt chart, how to present Gantt chart, that we will see in subsequent lectures. So in preparing or creating a Gantt chart, preparing a work pattern structure, the sixth activity is that you have to create Gantt chart schedule, which is one schedule which gives tasks and their durations, tasks and their sequence of task activities. Those things are represented with the help of Gantt chart. This is about creating work breakdown structure. So we'll stop here. In next lecture, we'll see how to construct, what is use of constructive cost model. What is constructive cost model? What are different types of constructive cost model? And some related examples we will see in next lecture. Thank you.
Zeal Education Society, redefining excellence.